Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope it's on a fantastic day today. So I want to go over some news for the Philadelphia Eagles. Not really news, but just like going into the draft a little bit, kind of seeing where free agency is really designating what positions we can go after. Talk about one guy in general that, everyone's really talking about that could slide to the Eagles at 10, but obviously there may be some bumps in the road a little bit on the way. So I want to go talk about that. Let's get straight into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
What is going on, guys? So it looks like, when you look at free agency, we kind of, we're going to go into a lot more draft news. And where do we think the Eagles are going to go at pick 10? At least, you're really trying to get that blue chip player on the Philadelphia Eagles. Since we were looking before free agency, we had 11 free agents on defense. The offense we really weren't worried about with Cam Jurgens moving to guard. Miles Sanders was going to walk, and Isaac Seumalo, as of right now, is still not signed. Don't know why, but he was going to walk as well. So, and maybe looking for a wide receiver 3 in the market or something like that. But looking at the defensive side of the ball, yeah, there was 11 free agents, and the Eagles almost got their whole secondary back. Getting Bradbury was a big surprise. Slay getting not technically released and then kind of redid his deal so that cap hit would be a lot lower, and he's really taken a pay cut for the next 2 seasons, wants to retire a Philadelphia Eagle, and obviously that safety spot is very empty right now. Obviously just Reed Blankenship, Kevon Wallace, and whoever's going to cross-train from cornerback when it's coming to the backup guys like Josh Jobe or Goodrich or some of these other guys that might cross-train. The Chauncey Gardner-Johnson situation we have been talking about for days, and still nothing at this point. But what they haven't done so far as of right now is get that complimentary piece for Nakobe Dean, whether it's Bobby Wagner or who else is available at linebacker. I'm feeling like after the draft, they might sign a linebacker. They might, sign a linebacker very late, and obviously, we had issue with coverage with these linebackers. We had issues with, these guys that just were giving away early, big, easy receptions. And, I think we could definitely upgrade that group. Nakobe Dean coming back is great. The defensive line, I think your defensive end position is really good. Getting Brandon Graham back on top of having Hassan Reddick here and having Josh Sweat. Barnett's coming back. I guess they're going to give him a chance. Hopefully they can move Kyron Johnson from outside linebacker to defensive end. But going to this draft, I feel like the Eagles are doing what they've always done, is drafting from the trenches. And my number one player that I really want to draft at 10 is going to be Jalen Carter. And I feel like if the Eagles can move back a little bit, they feel like that he is falling off the board, and the Eagles want to pick up some extra mid-round picks. They want to move back 2 to 3 spots, maybe. It's a big what-if maybe. If they're not getting any mid-round picks for this year, or not that many of them, I'm not really moving back at all from 10. Okay, Jalen Carter, obviously probably the best defensive tackle in this draft. Obviously, I've talked about Kalijah Kancey from Pittsburgh. There's a lot of talk about his off-the-field issues, and really before free agency, or really before the combine, they were saying that every team needs to stay away from this player. Then more rumors came out after, the reckless driving, the 2 misdemeanors he has, speeding. I mean, is this guy ready to be on an NFL roster as a first round, as a top 10 pick, or more than that? And how far could he fall off? So from all of that really happening, I don't know if he's, I'm not saying he's guilty, innocent, whatever the case may be. I really haven't looked into all the cases, but I see the tweets that do come out on him that a lot of GMs in the top 10 of those teams are starting to pass up on Jalen Carter for these issues. We know how much of a madman he is. Line up as a 3, can line up on the outside. You can do whatever you want with him, really. Those one-on-ones. Find that complimentary piece for Jordan Davis is probably the number one thing that we need to get. But the Eagles need to draft best player available at 10 regardless. Obviously, if you have Will Anderson there, it's going to be really hard to take Jalen Carter at that point, even though Will Anderson probably won't even make it past the Cardinals anyway. Could be the Lions, could be the Raiders at this point. You know what I mean? So got to look at what you need. Once we thought that Slay was leaving, I said, okay, go get your number 1 corner, but then he's staying, so now I'm kind of going back to trenches. I've been going back and forth with this, and I'm really only talking about the 10th overall pick. If you're trying to get best player available right there, do you still get a cornerback even if Witherspoon or Gonzalez is available? I don't know, man, but I feel like even after after watching the pro day of Jalen Carter, kind of got me worried a little bit. Apparently, he gained an extra 9 pounds of weight, and he was cramping up. He looked a little sluggish, and but his play is what his play is. So, he played college. Obviously, he hasn't played a game in months in college, so all that time has passed by. Maybe there's a lot more on his mind than what's to come, really. Is he going to be invested in being on a team? Is this going to be a waste of a pick? And I really don't want it to be. Obviously, a lot of Eagle fans are really not happy with Jordan Davis because they moved up for him. They used some picks to move up for Jordan Davis in front of the Ravens. And I thought it was still a really good pick. I thought he played really well into that high ankle sprain. And he's not Aaron Donald. He's not supposed to be a pass rusher. He's supposed to be a big run stuffer for us and hold his ground and go get that complimentary piece. The biggest loss for the Philadelphia Eagles coming out of free agency after the first week is Javon Hargrave. But the more depth you have out there, look at the free agent list that you still have. You have Quentin Jefferson that's still available from the Seahawks that was released that has 5.5 sacks. The Eagles can sign Linval Joseph as another run stuffer if they really need him. But to get that monster next to Jordan Davis, I think you got to draft it this year. I think you have to get your future at defensive tackle. You already got one in Jordan Davis. Get another one in Jalen Carter. And I think he is the right man for the job. And as much as the pro day, your own pro day, Jalen Carter has his own pro day, and it didn't look fantastic. I'm not going to take too much out of it. He didn't test for the combine. He didn't do any testing at all. So there's only so much to really think about here. But if Jalen Carter is available, I might take him at this point. I feel like we get too much caught up into the combines. We get too much caught up into the pro days, and it kind of dictates if the player's good or bad, but the tape is there on tape with Jalen Carter, and I think he would be a total beast in Eagles green next to Jordan Davis, okay? And I think putting Fletcher Cox next to him is not a bad thing, but it's not my favorite thing to do because if you don't get too much depth, and you don't draft a defensive tackle in this draft at all, or one that's really going to be good for us, Fletcher Cox can't play 70% of the snaps anymore, okay? Can't do it anymore. He did it this past year, and the more snaps he gets, the worse he gets. He doesn't have the energy. He's not the same Fletcher Cox he used to be. Once Jordan Davis got hurt with the high ankle sprain, then they signed Sue and Linval Joseph, and then Davis came back on top of it. With Fletcher Cox still being here, he played a lot better in a rotation at 25% of the snaps, whatever it was. Yeah, he played really well, and obviously keeping these guys fresh every 4 to 5 plays is a good thing for this defensive line. So Jalen Carter is still, as much as I don't like the stuff he does off the field, as much as the NFL Pro Day might have bothered me a little bit, I feel like I would still take a chance on him because I feel like you're getting a dominant player. I feel like because the Eagles are just a great fit for players that maybe have had, off the field issues, and I feel like they'll let him do his thing. They'll let him, express his personalities. It's not a military team where, this isn't the Patriots back in the day. This isn't a team that's going to, tell you what to do and that's what you have to do. This team, Jeffrey Lurie and this organization, they love when players express their emotions, and they love these players just spreading their personality out. And that's what it's always been, to the Philadelphia Eagles. So obviously you have teams that are going to be interested in Jalen Carter. Obviously the Bears at 9 have a lot of interest right now. But could pass on him. You never know. The Eagles might have to jump a couple spots to go get Jalen Carter because I think the only team that's really in doubt to draft him is going to be the Bears at 9 because they have called Georgia nonstop about his situation and what's going on. So if that's the case, there could be serious interest there, and the Eagles might have to jump a couple spots to go get him. I'm not really into moving back in this draft unless it's at 31, whatever our second first round pick is, unless it's that pick and there's just something they really need to do for extra picks. I don't know. That 10th pick is so important right now because you need to fill in that spot for a pure starter. So like I said, it could be defensive tackle, but you know that Howie Roseman likes to take care of the trenches before anything. Getting Fletcher Cox and doing anything else like that doesn't take care of the trenches because Fletcher Cox isn't a future piece. He's a rental for 1 year for $10 million. That's another guy that took a pay cut. So, Milton Williams is getting better every single year. Tella, the other guy that we drafted from USC, he's getting better every year, but he's getting hurt a little bit here and there. You know what I mean? So the depth is not great at defensive tackle. So depending if Chauncey Gardner-Johnson signs, you could have a hole at safety. You could have a hole at outside linebacker if Dean is moving to middle linebacker. Just depends what they're doing at this point. But the trenches is where it's at. And, because you go into next year, you're down to the same thing. Jordan Davis will still be here. Cox will be gone. And you're down to, pretty much the same situation you were in. So for me, I like Jalen Carter a lot. I think I would definitely take a chance on him. As much as some things do bother me, I feel like there's just something there. Like my gut feeling is saying draft him now. Don't think of this other outside stuff too much. The draft it's a gamble. Free agency is a gamble to sign guys to big money. Everything's a gamble in the NFL when you go out to get players. That's just the name of the game. That's just what it is. But I'm pretty pumped about this with Jalen Carter. I feel like if the Eagles don't make some type of other move, and really we're going to see how the board goes, because this could change. I could change my mind by that time. I could like what we get, and it might not be him. So you guys let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. Do you think the Eagles trade up for Jalen Carter? Do you think Jalen Carter is the pick at 10? Do you think, who do you think will be available? Who do you think they should take as the roster is right now with the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson situation going on and everything else going on? You guys let me know, and I'll see you guys on the next one. SHAKESQUAD up, follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.